Good morning, everyone. Rise and shine and say hello to Rocco.
Hi, Rocco Gibson here.
Recording artist, chef, yoga instructor, and he's showing us how to start the day on a positive note. And while we're hanging out with Rocco, get ready for a dose of healthy vibes for mind, body, and spirit.
Black pepper. There we go. Bon appetit. Hey guys, today it's Sunday, and I didn't film a lot of weekend footage because we actually ended up doing all the same things that we did the previous week. Friday night was the all-you-can-eat buffet. I'm happy to say that I did really well. I did not overeat. I almost did, but I didn't. And yesterday on Saturday, I taught classes, and then we had a few friends over for dinner. Chris made boeuf bourguignon, which was great. And now, Sunday morning, I'm going to be spending a couple of hours at the gym, and then later, when I get home, I'm going to make a whole batch of pizza dough that's going to make healthy pizzas for the week. And there's going to be a video on how I make the dough. So that's how the day is shaping out. So the gym visit, that's going to consist of an infrared light treatment called full body enhancement that gives you natural energy. It promotes healing within the muscles. It's a good thing. And then after that, I'm going to do about 45 minutes of the elliptical. That's my cardio. And then weights. I'll be getting biceps, triceps, shoulders. And then I'm going to enjoy a bed massage and a chair massage. I got 45 minutes of elliptical. I got arms, shoulders, chest, back, and I even got my booty. So it turned out to be quite a good trip to the gym. I got a lot more in than I had originally intended. I got my abs too. I got my infrared treatment. I got a massage on one of the chairs, and I also got a hydro massage. I feel so freaking good. So, time to go to the store, time to pick up a couple of things, and then home to make some pizza dough. Woohoo! The last part of the weekend is going to be, we're going over to my sister's for a little bit. We're going to see my dad. My sister is Dana Bobena. Dana and I grew up in this house. All right, this is my dad. Dad, say hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm like, oh my God,
I'm gonna put this on my show. Is that okay?
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Say hey. I'm on Rise and Shine with Rocco.
I'm on Rise and Shine with Rocco. Be careful.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Be careful. This is my sister Dana.
Hi!
She's the inspiration for my tunes Aries and Dana Bobena and Bobena 26, both on the new album coming out. So that's us. All right, we are going to make homemade pizza dough, and what we're going to do with the finished dough, once we're done mixing it, we're going to split it into 4 dough balls that are all going to go in the fridge, where they're going to slow rise and slow ferment. You're going to notice 4 bowls. They've been coated with olive oil. You're gonna see why. I use a stand mixer for this. You can do it in a bowl, and you can stir it, you can knead it with your hands. However, I'm a stand mixer kind of guy. You're gonna want the hook attachment, and you are gonna start by putting in 2.5 cups of warm water. Put in about a tablespoon of yeast. Active dry yeast, just so you know, needs to be immersed in water for a bit to rehydrate it. Instant yeast, on the other hand, you don't have to do that. You can add it right in, but you're always going to want to let the yeast just be in the water for a bit, because you are going to want to make sure that it starts blooming. If after a few minutes it still looks like this with no bubbles, no froth, then that means the yeast has died and that you will need to go out and buy new yeast. I happen to know that this yeast is good because I've used it a couple of times and it blooms. The other thing that you may not want to do is add your salt in until after everything is already mixed, pretty much, because it's been said that salt can kill yeast. Some people have said that's not true. Other people say that it is. So I like to err on the side of caution. I've added a tablespoon of sugar because what that does, actually, it doesn't make the dough sweet, but it does help with the browning in the oven. Also, the yeast gets to feed on it, so that's just a great thing when you're making, whether dough or bread or anything like that. Anything that makes the yeast happy makes the product happy. Next, add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. This has been sitting for almost 5 minutes, and you can see the bubbles going on. That's proof that the yeast is good. I have 5 cups of flour, and I recommend you using bread flour because that is going to end up being chewier, and it's just a flour that's more appropriate than, say, all-purpose. For the reason I described earlier, I prefer to add the salt into the flour itself, so this way it's not going directly on the yeast. And like I said, it might not be true that salt will kill the yeast, but I like to play it safe. So we're going to go ahead and mix this up. Then we're going to add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients. And we want to do it gradually, otherwise you're going to have an explosion of flour all over the place. I added half the flour in there. We're going to let this go for just about another minute or so, and then we're going to add in the remainder. This is definitely done, and you can tell when there's not dough crud in the actual mixer here in the bowl part. I know I said I don't need the dough, but that's not totally true once it's all mixed. Gotta add some good energy in there. What we're gonna do now is split this into 4 dough balls, and we're gonna put each one in here, where they are then gonna end up in the fridge to sit. Now, take the olive oil that has coated these bowls and give these little guys a nice coating, because this is going to prevent them from drying up while they are sitting in the fridge. Why am I putting these in the fridge? Because the dough is going to rise, but it's going to rise slowly, and it's going to make for a more yeasty, fermented New York City flavor. So, one of the main benefits of this is that it's a quick, easy dinner. I will do another video to show you how easy it is to just whip up a quick pizza, which is very healthy, by the way, reduced fat, and it's unbelievably good. I've sealed these up with plastic wrap, and that is to keep this as, technically it's not airtight because there's air in the bowl underneath the plastic wrap, but it helps to keep it soft, in addition to the olive oil. And also, it's going to have more of a crispiness to it when you bake it, which we will see in a different video. And there are my lovelies, and this is where they're going to stay. So it's Sunday, so we're going to have the pizza on Monday, and the first bowl that will have been in here fermenting for more than 24 hours, so it's going to be risen. It's going to be great. The longer it sits in here, the more it's going to ferment. You can keep this in here. You can keep these in here for about up to a week. It is now Tuesday, so it's been a couple of days, and look at this. Yup. And that is how I make my pizza dough. To be continued. Hey guys, I wanted to just put word out to any indie musical artist who's just getting started. I wanted to talk about, believe it or not, budgeting and finance, because when you first start putting your music out, you're gonna have to invest some of your money. It is impossible for your music to get anywhere unless you are paying a distributor. If you put your stuff on DistroKid, it's going to cost you so much per song, and if you're putting an album, that's going to be a little bit more. Also, you will have to spend money for marketing and campaigns. I will say that your music will not go anywhere unless you do that. The trick is knowing which ones to choose, because you could easily dish out an entire paycheck on campaigns. If you don't know how much you're spending, and if you don't know really whether or not you're working with a good marketer or a good campaign agency, or whatever the words have to be, I just wanted to say that there's definitely a money management aspect to it. I can definitely say don't expect to make anything, because there's a very good chance that you won't. If you are going to be an indie musical artist, unless you happen to be 15, 16 years old, more than likely you are going to have to sustain your day job and do this on the side. If you are fortunate enough to have any time off from work, then you'll have more time to invest, you'll have more time to do your social media posts, but it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. If you believe in your music and if you believe in your product, then all the more of a reason why you want to. It's not even going to feel like work. I will tell you right now, on Spotify, I have about 670 followers, and I have an average of about 2,800 listeners. I put my first stuff on Spotify in the beginning of March, and it's now almost the middle of December. So it hasn't been a full year, but numbers have gone up. But I have Crescento Marketing, who I pay per month. I have music advertising. I pay so much per month. I also have Groover. Groover basically sends your music to curators on Spotify as well as other musical lists. So it's taken the art of finding these places, because there's plenty of marketers, there's plenty of places that do campaigns for you, but I happen to find music advertising and Crescento Marketing to be the very best, and it was trial and error. There were so many other opportunities, and either I felt either that they were too expensive. There is one called Boost Collective that's one of the highest, and that's beyond my budget. I can't afford to pay them on top of what I'm already paying. And what it is I'm paying is within my budget. I do have to say it's really about maybe 50-60% of any extra money beyond what I need from my paycheck to pay bills. I also make sure that I do things on the side, like practicing Reiki, teaching yoga. What this really does is this pays for my music. If for some reason something were to happen with my day job and I did not have a day job, there would be no music, because I wouldn't have the money to be able to, pay DistroKid, which has put the stuff out there in the first place, in addition to the promoting and the marketing. So it really is like having your own business. And when I say that, I don't mean to sound like a pyramid scheme or anything like that. But it's your own garden, you've got to tend to it. And of course, it's just having that awareness of what you can spend without it cutting into anything else. And it's having that knowledge. It's a real skill that you're gonna want. But I wanted to just say that. And, I say, as you continue to make your music, know who you're working with, know what you're spending, and be fruitful and let your music multiply. Hi there. Wishing you a very, very happy holiday, whether you are home, whether you are with family, or whether you're working, whether you are lucky enough to have the day off. Not everybody does. But please enjoy your holiday and make it as merry as you can in your own way.
No matter what the occasion or season, you'll want our award-winning team to custom make your next floral arrangement. A Fling of Flair florist was voted Best of Greenville. We also make fruit baskets, balloon bouquets, and carry a wide variety of plants, plush, and more. Start your order now at aflingofflairflorist.com. That's aflingofflairflorist.com.
So my husband, Bob Ray, and I, along with my son, Kevin, and his wife, Laura, have the Loft on Main Airbnb in Washington, North Carolina. And you were asking about the artwork. I'm a painter, and my husband, Bob, is. And we have a lot of our work in the Loft. We kind of say it's where Soho meets Charleston. It's a loft like you might expect in New York, one long. It's in the top of an old building downtown. Great location near the river, near all the restaurants. And we have our artwork there, as well as a gallery in town, and the Bank Bistro, which is a wonderful restaurant in Washington, has our paintings. And the people comment a lot who stay in the Airbnb. They love the artwork. And so it's a way of us connecting and creating a space that we're comfortable in. We stay there sometimes if we're in town. We live out in the country, and so we get a lot of really positive feedback about the wonderful art and the space.
And it truly is a beautiful space, very cozy, and like we had mentioned, it's right in the heart of downtown, not far from the waterfront, and everything you need is just a few steps
There we
away.
go. The Turnage Theater directly beside the Loft on Main. The Loft on Main is upstairs over what used to be the American Barbershop. And our space was a beauty parlor in the 50s and 60s when my mom would make me go and get a permanent. But next door was the movie theater. And for years, I didn't know about until, probably the last 15 years, there's a vaudeville theater upstairs, and it's totally haunted. If you walk in that stairwell to go upstairs, it looks like they had turned off the lights from the performance the night before and walked out. And you can feel the presence there. A lot of the buildings are, but the history goes back to the 1600s in Washington. So there are a lot of decades of souls that can be walking around. We never experienced anything in the Loft, though. It's cozy and quiet there, but the theater next door.
Sure. You know, we want people to reach out. Is there a time of year that you recommend people come and visit Washington?
Well, it's nice all year round. They have all kinds of activities, especially it's a very vibrant downtown community. It's growing like crazy. There are lots of restaurants, and along with the restaurants, it brings and the waterfront. They have festivals. If I was March, April, May, June, the fall is my favorite. You know, we have a lot of people that stay with us for Thanksgiving and Christmas that have family and friends in town. And so there's always something to do. And like I said, that close to the theater and art galleries and the museum and everything. There's always a lot to do.
Rain or shine, it's a great spot to visit, folks. So, how
That's
do you
it.
want people to reach out if they would like to stay? Is it best to go to you're available on the Airbnb website
Yes.
that people
We
can go directly?
we only book through the Airbnb, but it's a little tricky. If you put in the loft, the first one that comes up is New York and then California and then Dallas. So you have to say the loft on Main, Washington, North Carolina. And we have superhost status, so we're the first one in our town that comes up. And so we'd love to see you. My son Kevin does all the booking, and Bob and I make sure it's neat and tidy, and that there are fresh towels and flowers. So come on, visit.
Wonderful. Well, we'll be sure to share that with all our neighbors. It's that Washington is such a beautiful place for a staycation. You need to get away from the stress of the world and
Yeah,
just kind of get lost and discover some new things.
yeah.
So, well, thank you so much, Barbara, for being with us. And we enjoyed meeting you. And we're excited to introduce you and your artwork and just this wonderful family-owned business right here in Eastern North Carolina.
Thank you. Bye
You're
bye.
welcome. We'll be checking in for any updates. See you soon.
Okay. Bye bye.